test all of the modes. First mode is voice input. Next. Next. Previous. The next mode is going to be hand input. So with these two buttons we have in front of us, we can go next. We can go next. Next. Or previous. The next mode for navigating your slide presentation is the controller. So you can just click next, 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 or previous. Then the very last mode, which it's kind of a default if nothing else is working, is a simple next and back button. So what's up, guys? So today we're going to take a look at this project called Public Speaker, which is part of our sample repository. This project is a project that does something quite simple, which is just syncing a Google slide presentation with a teleprompter that you're viewing in device. It really looks like this. Then you can modify your UI. This is just the blueprint for you to start, and then you can just change and modify things based on what you want to do. The README is pretty long because there is quite a setup to do if you want to sync it with Google. Otherwise, if you just want to have a static setup, this is really easy, and we are just going to enjoy the different modes that we can go through previous and next of the slide. This sample explains you quite a lot of things. As you can see here, there is an effort in integrating Google Slides. There is also a setup for your WebSocket with Heroku. And then there is also a setup for eventually Google authentication within the application. So not requiring a sign-in, but basically just getting an access token, which will allow you to sync your presentation with the one of Google. Here explains you everything in details, but the cool part also of the project is that there are different ways you can interact with your presentation. There is not just a button that goes next or previous. There are 3 different ways to interact. One way is to interact with the controller, and the second way is interacting with a soft controller that you just do this with your hand and you go previous and next. And the third part is with vocal inputs. So let's take a look at how this is set up. This is mostly going to be an overview. I'm not going to explain every step, otherwise this video would be very long. But first of all, let's take a look at the demo that this project will let you achieve. The presentation that I just have here has been an old hackathon of mine, so a slide presentation I presented very long time ago, but it's cool to see live again in these modes with the spectacle glasses. So let's take a look. This is the presentation that I will sync. You will notice that the presentation has a link here when you are sharing it, and this is the ID of your presentation. So you will need to remember, you will need to put this, you will need to insert this code into Lens Studio, into the syncer script. Then we have slide viewer, which I made because I want to be able to sync things on a web viewer and then also eventually going full screen. So let's say that you are in a conference and you're presenting your slides. You don't have to use a clicker. You don't have to use a computer. You can do everything in the glasses, and hopefully your computer, which you're presenting with, and the glasses, if they're both connected to the internet, this would be able to sync the 2 slides, one with the other. This also gets not just the slides, but also gets the speaker notes and gets you also a preview of the slides. So it's really like a presenter viewer, and get you, of course, speaker notes here, and when they will not available, will tell you that they're not available. You can also go manually to previous and next slide, but you won't need it. This is mostly for testing. And also you have a communication log that tells you what's happening here on the slides when you are trying to go next or previous and you're trying to tell this. So let's go through also this other part of the project, which is very important because this is basically a WebSocket which is connecting my website, that is a viewer, which it can also be local, right? Because it's my computer, but it's connecting to the WebSocket, and then my glasses are also connecting to the WebSocket. So the WebSocket put together and synchronize what I have in my glasses and what I have on my web viewer. So this is how the things work, which is really like how the WebSocket work. How to set up a WebSocket? Well, there are multiple ways, but I included everything in the project. You need to push that project in your own account and service. My account here is a Roku, and I created a new project which is called Google Slide Spectacles. Once you set it up once, which by the way, we explain everything in here, so literally just follow these steps and you're going to be fine. It might require you a little bit of back and forth, understanding a little bit of Roku, how it works. Just take a look at it, but it's pretty simple when you set it up. And then when you are in here, you have the settings of the app, and you need to be sure that it's running. So you need to be sure that it's deployed and it's running. Let me see the overview. You need to press this one here. This is called restart all dynos. So this will restart you all the application, or you can find it both in the settings. But this is just a test. It's a personal account. Just make an account on a Roku and just deploy this thing that is here. So we made the project for you. If you want to have two scripts, one is the direct controller, which is the one that we will open to visualize things on our computer. And then this is instead the server, which is the WebSocket server that will be deployed on a Roku and runs on a Roku. So this is the whole setup. And for the Google authentication, you will need to do something which might not be too intuitive, but if you go on the Google Cloud Console and you create a new project, you just need to go on something called OAuth 2.0 Playground, where you can select all of the API that you want to enable. In this case, we will look for Google Slide, and there you go, not the drive, Google Sheets Slide. So you will need to enable all of these Google Slides API v1. Then the step number 2 is exchanging an authorization code, and this access token will be the token that you will need to insert in Lens Studio here. And it's just valid for 1 hour, because we don't actually, in this application, don't have a whole authentication flow, which we will have. Then you will need to insert the presentation ID here, and then you will need to insert your server URL from the website here in the page, just to don't make you confused. Let's take a look at the project itself. So the project is divided into different presentation mode. The first one is static, so meaning that you're not actually connecting with Google. You literally have slides here, and if you prefer this way because you're not trying to connect but you just want to create your app for your purpose, it's probably the safest way to go, because Wi-Fi can always be a little bit sus in all of the conferences. So and then we have a controller here, which is the main controller. We have a presentation switcher, which is only working as a next and previous, and then we have all of the controllers for different inputs. So actually the presentation switcher is the one that takes care of the buttons. Mobile controller, of course, is the mobile. Voice controller takes care of the voice. Google Slide Bridge, as you can expect, it takes care of taking the previous and next and synchronizing it with the Google slide that you have online. And then we have another additional WebSocket controller which put everything together. So you should be able to set up this without really going deeper into the code. So you can just check it out anytime in the sample repository. I hope you find this helpful. I hope you find this inspiring, because we want to really make applications that are purposeful and they really serve things that you could do in your daily life and they make it better. So I hope that you enjoyed this one here, and just go try the public speaker sample.